Hey guys, welcome to the Whimsical Workshop. We are on month 3 of our Snippets block of the month that we are doing with Studio E fabrics. I've got all my fabrics pressed. I am ready to go. Let's get started. Yay! All right, we are on month 3. I hope you are having some fun with all of these bright, wonderful ombre colors. I am ready to start number 3. This is the one we need to make 8 of. So it is a little more time consuming than the first 2, but it's still super simple and should be really easy to do. So we are just going to jump in and get that started. But before we do that, I just wanted to sneak peek back to blocks 1 and 2. Hopefully you have stayed on target. If not, it's your block of the month. You take as much time as you need. But I wanted to show you, now that we've got several of these blocks, how not worrying about where the ombre falls. Like, I didn't plan these. If you've watched the first 2 videos, you know I didn't plan any of the ombres. I cut them the way that I cut them, and then I plopped them in. And you can see, look at these greens. I didn't even look at them when I put them into the blocks. I just laid them out. But somehow pattern still shows up. I've got dark, I've got the lime. The lime isn't going to change. But you can see each one of these has a dark and a light. I just picked them up that way. I didn't plan it that way. You certainly can, but I just wanted to give you an idea of how easy it is to use these ombres and not fussy cut them. So those were block 1, and you needed to make 4 of those. And then we've got our block 2 here, and the same thing. These always remind me of like party going on, because you've got some heavy confetti, and then you've got light confetti and heavy confetti and light confetti. Even in the reds, they all look like they're the same reds because they just were so close in the ombre. So there was really no need to fussy cut these. But you needed to have 4 number 2s. So we've got our 1s done. We've got our 2s done. Let's move on to number 3. Which looks like this here. Looks super simple, huh? The only kicker with this is there's a little tiny flip and sew up there in the corner. It is just a little more time consuming. So as usual, we'll get to our cutting. I've got everything already pressed and ready to be cut. I'm just going to go ahead and cut them and speed it up. If you need any extra help with cutting, refer back to video 1 in this block of the month series, as well as all the other videos on my channel for beginner quilting. There's a whole series on how to cut, how to layer, all the different aspects of quilting. And so we have those as well if you need more than what we're putting in these videos. So, with all that being said, let's get cutting. So block number 3 is all cut and ready to go. It involves a ton of flip and sew, which is what we've done in video 1 and in video 2. So this video, I'm going to show you a third way to do flip and sew that does not involve marking all your squares. And I saved it to this video because there is so much flip and sew. So what I'm going to do is move these pieces out of my way. This is the acrylic table from my sewing machine. Okay, so let me flip the camera so I can see here. So my sewing machine arm goes right in here. So you're gonna have to visualize that for a second. And this is a clearly perfect angle. And I have a little purple bumper on here. Both of these I use to make sure I have accurate 1/4 inch seams, because this center line here is your needle line. This edge here is the 1/4 inch. And then this bumper, if I grab a piece of fabric, you'll see it stops at the bumper. The bumper is very low profile, so it does not get in my way when I have to sew diagonally. And I have this set up on all of my machines. But the reason I love the clearly perfect angle for flip and sew is we are going to be taking the blue and then we're going to be putting one white square on the corner. The directions tell you to draw from corner to corner on your white square. And again, if you do draw your line, start in the center, work out to each corner. So this is the instructions, okay? And then you would go over to your sewing machine and you'd line that on the needle, and maybe you have a needle line marked on your machine and you'd feed it through. When I have this guy on here, you can see this would be the needle point, and you could keep that point right there on that line so you know you're straight as you're feeding it through. So that's one really nice thing about this tool. The other nice thing about this tool is, let's just take this one away and give you one that's not marked. So I didn't do all the steps of marking. We're trying to draw from that point to that point. So I would align this tip under my sewing machine needle, this tip on the center of in between the gray and the green. And these edges are 45 degrees, so the square should stay aligned as we work our way up. And those 3 reference points means I can sew from point to point and not have to mark any of my squares. So it is a really handy tool. Again, we carry it. It's on the website below. I'll put the links down there, but you can find clearly perfect angles other places as well. But I set up my machine like this. All of my machines are set up this way. My travel machine, this one. So anytime I pop it out, I know I have my bumper to keep my pieces when I'm sewing them together this way. I have my needle line if I want to do flip and sew and not mark all my squares. It is a really handy tool to use. All of that being said, of the 3 ways I have shown you how to do flip and sew in the last 2 videos and this one, this being one way, the other one, just as a refresher course, was using, let me move this out of my way, was using the folded corner clipper ruler, and where you align all the edges and draw your line. Doopy-doo. And then you put this on with the smaller triangle sticking out, and when you sew point to point, you put your 1/4 inch foot on there. So this way you have the smaller triangle pointing out. You're still sewing from point to point, but your 1/4 inch foot goes along the line. So of the 3 methods, the traditional method, which is how the pattern is written, the folded corner clipper ruler using this method, or the clearly perfect angle method, I'm now going to rate them in accuracy. This one is the most accurate. This is going to give you the most perfect flip out of all your pieces. This comes in second, and this one is just slightly behind. This one is third. It is not enough of a difference for me not to use this tool when I'm looking at 192 little squares. I could sit there and mark them all, or I can bring them over and use my ruler, my clearly perfect angle here. I have done an entire video about how to set this up, what it is, and how to set up your 1/4 inch seam allowance. I will link that video below if you are interested in this method at all. I do recommend watching that video because I do give you all the pros of it, what I love about it, and actually how to cut it and set it up on your sewing machine. I have this one set up on my acrylic table, but you could, I also have a cabinet with a table, you can tape it to that. It is meant to be a cling. I did not take the cardboard off the back and cling it down because I find that slides, and I liked the white to be able to see a little bit better. That was my personal preference. But if you have any questions at all, leave them in the comments below. But for this blog this month, I'm going with this method just so that I'm not marking over 192 squares. So leave a comment below, let me know what you think, and if you've tried the different methods, which one is your favorite. So let me get the samples sewn up. I'll be back. I'll show you what it is that you have to sew next, and we'll keep going. All right, so I've got all of these sewn. And so we've done the traditional method, the ruler method, and then the clearly perfect angles method. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut out the centers. We're going to flip them out and see how we did. So this is the clearly perfect angle. This is the ruler method. And this is the traditional method. And finger pressing, well, I'm not sure why I'm finger pressing. I have an iron right here. Keep them in order. So here is that, and you can see we're a little bit off up there, but you know, again, you're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam here, so that's not the end of the world. And if this is your favorite method to use, go for it, because it's still accurate enough, but you do not, a lot of people, this really bothers them to have that sticking out. So there's traditional, there's ruler method, and we have nothing sticking out on that one. And then this was the clearly perfect angle one, and if we're going to be really picky, there's a smidge right there, but in the end, this is actually even more accurate than the traditional method. So as you can see, all three methods work. They're a great way to do flip and sew. If I'm dealing with something that's super accurate, I will do my ruler method. If I have hundreds of pieces, I will use the clearly perfect angle one. And if I'm writing a pattern and I don't want people to have to buy a special ruler, I will show the traditional method. So now you've got all three methods in your arsenal, and you can choose which one to do. Now that we have got these guys going, and I'm going to go ahead and press them and get them all trimmed, the next step is to make Unit 2, Unit 3, and Unit 4, and those also involve flip and sew with these little squares on the corners. And let me just move that up there. All right, so what you will do is you will first take your one rectangle, one little square, and it is vital that this is aligned this side and this side. These are tiny, so a little bit of skewing it is going to make it very uneven. It's very obvious when you're not straight on smaller pieces. So you're going to go ahead, mark that on there, put that on there, however you want to, whatever method you want to use. You can do point to point, ruler, or the clearly perfect angle. So you're going to do that, and then we've got this guy, and then we're going to go ahead and press this guy open. And you want to be really delicate with these little squares because it's really easy to distort them. And even if you just tack it open, and then when you're done with the block, give it a really good pressing, that's probably a good idea. So there's that one. And then once that's pressed open, you will take a square, put it on here, repeat from point to point, which is what we've got here. And again, repeat with the press open. And again, I'm being very delicate with this. This one I stretched a little bit, sticking out a little bit there. There we go. So there are these. This is fabric I, and we need to make 32 of these. This is fabric C. We need to make 32 of those. And fabric K, we need to make 32 of those. So I'm going to go ahead and get these finished, these sewn on, and then we're ready to move on to the next steps. So I'll be right back. So we are back. You didn't have to watch the long afternoon of flip and sewing all of these little guys. In the end, there is 96 of them with 2 squares on each, so I'll let you do that math. But they're all done, and I did press them all towards the back. or I'm sorry, towards the corners. And it's extremely important. The important thing on this whole thing is this little X right here. The center of that X should be 1/4 inch from the top of that. That will mean when you go to sew this in a block, you don't cut off your points. So if you get to a piece and you see it doesn't have it, if it's just a little off, great. If it's a lot off, you probably need to re-sew it so you get this point 1/4 inch from that edge. So now that we've got them all sewn together, then what you're going to do is you're going to sew 16 units. Let's put them in order here. 16 units of the 2 green with the white, and 16 units of the 2 purple with the white. And I've done that here. Okay, and I want to share another little trick tip with you. When you go to sew these 2 pieces together, do not start at this side. Start at this side. I have found over the years, if you start here and work towards this corner, you will be able to hit that a little neater, and you have time to straighten out this corner if you need to kind of tug things into position. So when you go to sew these, start at the rectangle end, get that end aligned. Don't worry so much about the squares until you get closer, and then you can line up the squares. So once you do that, that will help you be more accurate sewing these together. And because we're dealing with 1.5 inch strips, a 1/4 inch seam is pretty important. 1/4 inch seam is always important, but it's very important the smaller your pieces get. So I'm going to show you 2 ways you can press these. If you want, you could press these. Let me just double check, make sure I don't tell you the wrong. The first way would be towards the color, so always away from the white. So we're going to go towards the green on that one and towards the green on this one. And then you would go towards the purple or towards the purple. The other option, because you'll see here, this is pretty bulky right there, is you could press the seams open. If you press the seams open at this point, you will need to press them open throughout the whole block assembly. So you may or may not want to do that because it is a little more labor intensive. But then you would use the strip stick here, open up the seam, use the tip of the iron, and just press it flat. And what that does is it makes these points right here very flat. And when you go to quilt this, it will quilt out nice and flat. Where this one, I can feel there's a bulge right there. And you can even see the seam doesn't want to lay very flat. So I'm going to opt to press them open. If you hate, detest, can't stand pressing seams open, just always press towards the color and away from the white throughout this assembly, and then when we do the checkerboard, and your seams should all nest. I have a bunch of sewing and pressing to do, so I'm going to get started, and I'll be back when these are all sewn. All right, so I have all my little rail fence blocks sewn, and that's what they look like. And there is the other one. And then the next thing, because these are the corners, these are the side pieces, these are the top and bottom. And there we go. So you can see the block is coming together. No, I'm not counting them out. I'm just sort of showing you what it looks like. The next thing is the center checkerboard. And because we're only making 8 of these, we didn't strip piece them. We just sewed the squares together. Up you go, out of my way. So you need white with 2 green for the center, and then 1 purple top and bottom. And all of these I press towards the color. Okay, even though I pressed all of these open to avoid that bulkiness, I went ahead and did the press towards the color on these. They will still go together just nicely and catch on there and nest just the way we want them to nest. So I'm going to go finish sewing my 4 patches together, and then we can make our blocks. Okay, so I have my 9 patches done, and these guys I did press towards the color for the rows, and then for the actual last seams I did press those open because I just feel like it has less bulk. Again, you can press them. If you want to press them, I would press them opposite of what you pressed these so that they nest. But in my case, these are open and these are open, so we're good. So then these go right in here, and you want to make sure you put these in right. So the green and you want to make sure the white creates the 3 whites there, and that the green and the purple and the green. So now that we've got all that done, I'm going to go ahead and start sewing the blocks together, and I'll come back and show you how to press the blocks and how to press the rows and the blocks. So we have all our units sewn into rows. So we have that one, and then that, and then finally that one. So for these guys, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to press these guys out, these guys in, and these guys out. So out, in, out. I do like to use a combination of open seams and side press seams, and I do not think I ever had an issue with it, and there really isn't any quilting police that are going to come and get me. So even though we've done some open and some this way and that, in the end, the goal is to make the block as flat as possible. And if to do that, you do some going one way and some open, you've achieved the goal. So, and then we're going to press this one to the checkerboard and the checkerboard. All right, then once we've got those, we're going to go ahead and sew them into a block, which is here. And then for these seams, I am pressing them open. So again, we're using the strip stick. We just start the seam at one end and get it started. Use the nose of my iron, and I pinch the seam back here. It holds it up vertical and makes it a little easier so we don't have to do just what I'm doing right here, because the idea is that it just falls over naturally. So there's that. And we're going to do one more. And we will have month 3 done. This one had probably most of the sewing seams in it. We had to make 8 of them, and there were a lot of seams. So if you're at the end of the video, hopefully you're at the end of your 8 blocks. So there we go, and there are all of our block 8s. I hope you have enjoyed following along with me and made your blocks as well. If you have, make sure you let me know below how you're enjoying the project. I want to thank you for watching, and as always, make sure to like and subscribe. Thumbs up if you've enjoyed the video, and until next month, happy sewing!